Hello, and thanks for tuning in to my tech video. Today I'm going to go over the Facebook SDK and how to implement it specifically on a website using purely JavaScript. There are tons of really cool services that the Facebook SDK allows you to implement. Specifically, three of the most common and the ones that I will go over today in this video are Facebook login, so adding Facebook authentication to your website, sharing posts from your website to Facebook, and some of the analytics that Facebook allows you to track when you implement their SDK. First, I'm going to go over the Facebook login and show you how to provide Facebook authentication to your web application. What's great about it is that it's super quick and super easy to provide this authentication for your website with great documentation from Facebook. It mostly just consists of copying and pasting a few lines of code to get it to work. Another great thing is that you can request access from the user to get information on anything that Facebook has for them. How Facebook handles that is basically once you log in a user, they return a access token to you, which is stored in the browser, and contained in that access token is all the permissions that you have. So once you have that access token, you can use it to get any of the information you want from the user that they gave you permission to access. So I'm going to apply this authentication to the scriptures mapped application to show you a super quick example of how to implement it. And in order to provide the login, first you need to go and you need to create a Facebook app. So you can go to this URL, add new app. You can give it whatever name you want, and then you can go ahead and you can create this app. It will take you to the application dashboard. From here, you can go ahead and set up Facebook login for your website. And for this instance, we're going to do a web application. So you're going to want to put the URL of the site. I have that just right here. Put that right there. I have it deployed, the website deployed, and not on localhost because it gives you a lot of trouble if you try to use localhost. Now, once you set up the URL, it'll walk you through some instructions on how to do it. But the full example for how to do it can really be found right here. So once you create that application, you can go here, and this will give you a full code example for how to provide the login. This gives you everything from the creation of the HTML and the script. I'm just going to go ahead and copy the script, which will load the JavaScript SDK as well as handling the login functionality. So one important thing, or a couple important things that you need to do once you put in this example of this code from Facebook, is you're going to put in your app ID. Now, since we just created an app, we can go get our app ID conveniently right here. Just click the copy. We'll go back. We'll put our app ID right here. This function right here, this Facebook async init, this is actually what will pull in the Facebook SDK for JavaScript. And then one other thing you need to do is you also need to put in your app ID on this connect URL right here. Okay. Now, once you have that, you can go get the actual HTML that will display your login from here, the bottom of that code example. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it in the header of my scriptures mapped. Okay, that. Once we get that loaded, I can go to my site and I will refresh that. And boom, there's your login. Once we have that, we can just go to login, and boom, there you go. Now once we navigate back to my scriptures mapped application, you can see right here that we get a thanks for logging in, Matt Christensen, and that's because now I gave the scriptures mapped application access to my public profile, and as part of that is my name. Now we can see where that is being called. If we go into the code, we can see that once we have the user logged in, we make this, when status is connected, we make this test API call. And within test API, we're essentially testing the Facebook Graph API. So here we're making that call. We're passing it me, which just means the person who is logged in, and we are putting inside of the status, thanks for logging in, and then within the response we can get the name of that person. And so pretty cool how you can get the information from the login by making these simple Facebook API requests. And within them, this is essentially using the access token that we were given when the user was logged in. Now, I want to make this a bit prettier and maybe add a logout. So logout is also pretty simple. You'll see that it just takes this little bit of code to do that. We'll put it just really anywhere inside the script. I'll put it right here. And that's what's going to handle the logic of our logout. It's a pretty simple function. You just call Facebook or fb.logout. And then we'll come into here and we'll get the HTML to display the logout button. And I'll just go ahead and put that right here under status. Now once that refreshes, you can see that we have the logout button that pops up right there. Now when I click it, it will log me out. However, my web page doesn't have anything to really handle what happens once the logout is pressed, and so nothing on the page is updated. Now let's go ahead and handle that right now. So the best, a quick and easy way to handle that is just to make this button, for starters, hidden when they are not logged in. So we'll set that to display none. Okay. Now I have some code to handle hiding the login button once they are logged in, and then in turn showing the logout button as well. So now we're going to want to put this inside of the API call, and what we'll do is when they are logged in, we will set the display of the login to none, and then we will display the logout button. First, let's make sure that we give the login button the correct ID. So my login. Okay, and now this piece of code right here will handle once they log out. We're going to want to display that. We're going to want to display the login button again and hide the logout, and then re-update the status. Okay, now right here I'm currently logged in, so when I click logout, it's going to hide the logout button and present the login button again. When I want to log back in, I'll just click the login button, and there we go. Now I have the logout, and I have successfully implemented a very simple example of logging in, providing logging in and logging out for Facebook. 3 different scenarios to keep in mind when using Facebook authentication is one, if a person logs into the app and then logs into Facebook and then logs into your app, then when they log out from your app, the person will still be logged into Facebook. The other scenario is a person logs into your app and into Facebook as part of your app's login flow. Once they log out from your app, then the user will also be logged out of Facebook. And the third, and it's probably less common scenario, is that if a person logs into another app and into Facebook as part of the other app's flow, then logs into your app, then upon logging out from either of the apps, the user will be logged out of Facebook. Now, the next part that I want to demonstrate is the Facebook like and share. This is really useful because it can add a tremendous amount of exposure for your website. It can give you the ability to, you can individually customize the content of the posts that the users make. And what's also really cool is that this will also work when a user shares your website URL by pasting the URL directly into their post that they make on Facebook. So whether they click the share button on your site or not, it will still use the customized post that you created. So to implement that is super, super easy. We just go to this link right here, and we can get here we can choose what we want, what type of button we want to show them. There's the standard, there's also this version, box count, there is the button count, and then there's the button. Personally, I like the button count, and so to get the code for this, you just click get code, and this we already have loaded in. We already load in the Facebook SDK through JavaScript, so all we need right here is this code at the bottom. So I will just paste this code right here, and this, and once I do this, then I will get that button on my page. And now you can see right here, I have the like and the share put directly on my site. Now this isn't customized. If you want to customize it to your site, what you're going to want to do is go back to this, and they're super, in this full code example, you can see that it gives you some of these tags that you can use to customize your post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these meta tags, and I will put them right at the top of my website. So here you can put the title, and I'll put scriptures mapped. Here you can put a description, and for simplicity's sake, I'll just say this is a description for scriptures mapped. Okay, now the URL. If you want an image, you can change that right here, and I will change that to the path of my image. I just have an image right there, so to.png. So now, when they click on that, on the share button, they will get these customized descriptions. And one other thing to keep in mind is you have to make sure to change the URL for that and make sure it is your custom URL. There we go. So now I'll save this, and once I come back into my website, I can either like it, apparently I've already liked it, and I can go to share. And when I share, you can see that it picked up those meta tags and it created this customized post for me. So I'll post it only to me, and I'll go to post to Facebook, and there we go. For this particular site, say that we wanted to provide the ability to share the individual scripture that they're on. So we can do that if we provide some tricky bit of code I can find right here. So if I dynamically append the location of the URL, then Facebook will make sure to post whatever that URL is. So I'll put that just right here inside of this ready function. And now what this will do is when the window loads, it will put the location, including the hash, inside of this meta tag. And I will also want to make sure to update the href of the actual share button. So that line of code will make sure to update this as well. Now if I save that, and now every time that a user navigates to a new scripture, they will be able to share that specific scripture as opposed to the entire site. So that's the really cool part about being able to like and share, is you can totally have complete control over what you are sharing. So for this instance, I could totally give any of my users the ability to share specific scriptures to their friends. And I could also provide custom titles and descriptions dynamically for each scripture, should I want to do that as well. Now the last thing I want to go over is Facebook Analytics. This is really cool because it allows you to really track a lot of really important metrics for your website. And so there's a few things that it lets you track, and that is growth metrics. You can track new and active users. You can see what type of devices are being used to access your application. This includes whether it's an iOS operating system, an Android operating system, whether it's a Mac operating system. It'll also track new users, and you can also, what's really cool is provide custom events. It'll also keep track of engagement metrics, such as the active users that you're receiving by hour, the median time spent on your site by user, as well as user retention. And you can customize the dashboards that this creates for you. So now if I go into this Facebook Analytics, I'll have the ability to select the application I want to see analytics for, scriptures mapped. Once I get into my dashboard, I can now see all of the different things available. So I can see like, hey, somebody logged in, really cool. I can see all of the different new users and user activity once I have enough users to provide aggregate data. One thing to note is that they won't, until you get enough users, they won't provide a lot of the analytics information in order to protect the privacy of users. But once you start running up the amount of users on your application, then you'll be able to have further access to a lot of the great analytics, including the demographics of the users using your site. So those are some of the most powerful tools that you can use as part of the Facebook SDK. It's all free, and it's all great, and there's tons of more things that you can do that are totally worthwhile checking out. I would highly recommend implementing Facebook in some way or another on your application, because it can totally boost user interaction as well as provide some tremendously great information as well as exposure for your website. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that this demo can prove to be useful in your development.